Hello friends, welcome. Day 13. Tonight is a juicy one. Managing peer pressure even with friends. Oof, it's a good one because both myself and my husband have experienced this one. And I think it's especially with friends. They're the ones, well, from my perspective anyway, my friends are actually really good. My husband's family and some of his friends were a bit dubious. Some of our other outside friends were a bit like, like, why would you do something as stupid as quit drinking or not drink? So I think it was a really interesting time for us. We've definitely navigated this one more than just once or twice. That first 6 weeks that I actually quit drinking, we went to our first wedding. It was as awkward as all hell, but I managed to stay for about 4 or 5 hours. And then over time, it's just got easier and easier. But that's not to say that I still don't feel discomfort. I think sometimes I do. And I really have to sit with myself and just really mindfully be present and ask myself what's going on. And generally it's just because you don't like feeling left out. You want people to like you, and there's just so much association. Like if you've been drinking for 30 years, there's lots of association with drinking and people liking you and being the fun one. So yeah, it makes sense, right? So yes, if you have ever felt that little twinge of guilt or that discomfort even when you're the one choosing not to drink, then this is for you, my friends, because saying no to a drink really isn't about the alcohol. It's about connection, it's about identity, and it's about belonging. And like I said, I want to kind of share how it played out for me. These are some of the things that I did to help myself out. And even when that very first time back in 2020, when I gave up for what was supposed to be 100 days, I got to day 88. Some of the things that I actually did to help myself, right? Because if you don't plan, then what's the quote about not planning? Anyway, it'll come to me. So yes, in the early days, the pressure was totally real. It was not because people were pushing me, but simply because I hadn't yet built this internal confidence to really hold my boundary with grace. So I kind of had to put little plans in place. I decided ahead of time how long I'd stay at events. So I knew that from a couple of the experiences I'd had, if I stayed for more than 4 or 5 hours, the energy I was so depleted by the end of it. So I made a decision that I would stay anywhere between 2 to 4 hours, depending on the type of event it was. The other thing I would do is that I would tell my husband before it even left, like before it even gone to the occasion, I would tell him what my plan was, how long I thought I might stay, when I thought I'd leave, just so that we didn't have to get into those big convos on the night. There's nothing more awkward than watching a couple have a little disagreement about, well, who's going to take me home and who's going to pick me up and all those types of things. So we actually talked about that ahead of time, and it made it so much easier because there was just no drama when you got to the event. Something else I made sure to do was either pre-event or post-event. So if it was a wedding, I would book myself in to get a massage the morning of, or get my nails done, or get my hair done, even if it was just like a rinse and a blow wave or a rinse and a straighten or something like that. I would either do that post-wedding, post-event, or I would do something really nice for myself after the event. And after the event might have just kind of would look like coming home, putting my PJs on, putting on a show that I really wanted to watch, something, a nice little snacky snack or a treat or something, but something really sacred that felt good for me, a nice hot shower, into some, maybe buying yourself some new gym jams, and they don't have to be expensive ones, they can just be from Kmart, or maybe, you go into your old box of clothes and you find your gym jams that you just need a new wash and a new spruce up, and you can put them on and feel good as new. But really what I was trying to do is I was trying to find something that was really soul nourishing, so that when I got home, I didn't feel like I had FOMO. And that was the whole point about it. It wasn't supposed to be about restricting myself from drinking. This was about the freedom, right? This was about me. Like, it wasn't about them. This was about me, my energy, my choices, my sovereignty. Yeah, had nothing to do with them. And I think we can get caught up so much in what people think if we're not drinking. What if people don't like me? What will they think of me? I think is the biggest one that just comes to me. So let's just frame for a second. Let's reframe some of this peer pressure. We see peer pressure at school. What would we tell our kids? What would we recommend to our kids about peer pressure? If they're being peer pressured at school, we use our words. I remember telling my kids that all the time. Don't punch. Use your words. Find your words. And I remember too, as a mum, giving your kids a plan. Go and talk to a teacher. Go and change friend groups or something like that. Or come home and tell me. I think what's fascinating is that there's so many aspects of childhood that we can look back on and go, what would I tell my kids? What would I tell my sister? What would I tell another loved one? And then generally, whatever we tell them, just do that. Super easy. Whatever we'd tell someone else to do, jump in her shoes. She knows exactly what she's going to do. Saying no does not make you antisocial. It makes you intentional. And peer pressure isn't a command, it's a test. And you don't have to pass their test. You only have to pass your own. And most of the time, people aren't judging you. They're actually just projecting their own shit or their own discomfort on you with change. My husband still gets this with his brother all the time. Like, Dave hasn't drunk for over 6 months and he still gets it from his brother. So that's about him projecting his shit onto Dave, right? I don't get a lot of, actually, I don't think I get any. I don't get any. I think probably people are quite surprised. But it's been over 2.5 years now. And I just consider myself a non-drinker these days. And I think I really held on to, I quit drinking two years ago. Now I just start, everyone goes, do you want a drink? I'm just like, no thanks, I'm good. Or I'll just have a Coke Zero. I've actually stopped explaining myself, and it feels really good, because I think that's where I've actually stepped into that identity, of owning it as a non-drinker. Holy shit, I would not have been able to say that 3 or 4 years ago even, that I would never have thought in a million years that I would ever become the person who no longer needed alcohol to be fun. What? Who is that person? Where is he? So yes, just remember that people aren't judging you, they're just projecting their own shit. So if you feel that resistance, my friends, just breathe and return to your why. And remember, you don't owe anyone a performance. You just get to owe yourself the peace and freedom that you will find when you drink less, when you feel better, and when you wake up with no regrets. So into a few tangible tools that I've got for you. One of them is boundaries with your partner. Could be as simple as this. Hey love, I'm planning on heading home by 9 tonight. I just want to feel clear on that up front, just so that we don't have to go back and forth later. Hey babe, I'm not going to come to the pre-drinks. I'm not going to come at 4. What I'll do, I'll drop you down there. I'm going to do something for a couple of hours, and then I'll come back down at 6, and then I'll probably head home by 9. You can choose, right? You can decide what your boundary is, and you can change it. You can be flexible. If you decide to stay longer, that's fine. If you decide to go earlier, that's fine too. It's all fine. You get to decide, and I think that's the beauty, my friend. That's where we actually have authority over our decisions and doing what's right for us. And if If our husbands or our partners have little tanties, well, that's okay too. That's on them. Number 2, so that was number 1, boundaries with your partner. Number 2 is say no like a queen. No thanks, I'm doing something different right now. No thanks, I'd love to catch up, but I'm prioritising my rest right now, or tonight. No thanks, but thanks for thinking of me. I'm not drinking right now. There's all sorts of things you can say, like ways that you can say no, and you get a list and think about ways you say no to eating celery or how you say no to your kids wanting $10 out of your wallet, or how you say no to not going to the movies because you don't like James Bond. Think about all the other ways you say no and why it feels so easy, and just write a list and think about how you might be able to translate those into no thanks for drinking. Try it on, give it a whirl. Number 3, of course, is we are human beings and we have FOMO. Or maybe it's JOMO, the joy of missing out. You can flip that, right? You can rewrite the news story. So the story might be, of course, we don't drink for the hangovers. We drink for the fun of the event, but not the hangover. Is you could simply say, I actually love the time I get back when I skip the hangover. I know our one on Sunday is always, oh my God, it feels so good to be fresh today. Imagine what it would be like being hungover again and both of us shudder. Oh, no thanks. You know, what about if you'll flip your FOMO into JOMO? What if it was, I use that space to catch up with myself. I use that space to listen to my soul. I use that space to hang out with myself, to get to know myself better, to do the things I never got to do during the week. Maybe it's something around using that space for you. And remember, super, super important, the goal here isn't to isolate yourself. I think that's the first thing we do is we go, oh, well, I need to quit drinking, or I need to stop drinking. It means that I can't go hang out with people. I actually did the complete opposite. I ran into the fire. I wanted to know what shit would come up when I was at a wedding, when I was at the pub with friends, when I was at a work dinner, when I had to go to conference, when I was traveling. I wanted to put myself into these positions because whilst I didn't identify with alcoholic, I definitely had issues with high functioning. I wanted to put myself into those situations. I wanted to be in discomfort, right? Because that is where currency is held. I needed to navigate life as normally as I could and see what shit that came up so I could either heal it, so that I could shift my mindset around it. And I also wanted to do it in a way that honoured who I was and who I was becoming, and not energetically trying to force myself into a square, into a round hole. But I needed to know what life was going to throw at me in social circumstances. And so I did. I went to the weddings, I went to the parties, not all the parties, right? Again, you have to have this discernment around what is good for your energy and what's not. And that's the important part of the process, is discerning what is right for you, what is right for your energy. But don't isolate yourself. Humans need human connection. It is one of our foundational requirements as a human being, is we are born for connection. So make sure you keep connecting. You might need to find new friend groups. You might need to go to different things. Maybe you need to go to the movies with a new friend. Maybe you need to go to a salsa class on a Monday. Maybe you need to start a new sport. Maybe you need to go to a book club. There's all sorts of ways that you can still create connection in your life without alcohol. Have a play around. Get a list. Get your journal out and write a list of like 100 ideas that you have. Stupid or not stupid. Write them all down. Get them out onto a piece of paper. You'll be really, really surprised when you challenge your brain to come up with some new ways to think about how you can not have FOMO and how you can actually lean into more sources of joy, sources of pleasure, to be able to kick one out and bring the rest in, right? So in closing, my friends, another short one. What if peer pressure isn't the enemy? What if it is simply a portal to discovering your values, ones that you've always held but may have forgotten? What if this season of your life, this chapter, right, this era of discomfort is actually your initiation into deeper, deeper, deeper self-trust? Beautiful. Social strength does not mean being louder, it means being clearer. So, if you want to find some clarity, that, my friends, is a form of self-love. Then we need to find some stillness. We need to breathe in. And we need to hold some space for the part of us that actually wants to feel free, the part of us that wants to feel liberated, the part of us that wants to feel safe, to let go of something that we know no longer serves a purpose in your life, in her life. So my friends, if you want support with how to say no gracefully, powerfully, and without guilt, Queen style, right? DM me, let me know. I've got a little freebie, a little lead magnet that I call Say No Like a Queen. Happy to send that to you. And there's some scripts, there's some mindset. I always say that, mindset shifts, some journal prompts, just to really help you build out your own social strength toolkit. And until tomorrow, my friends, stay intentional, stay sovereign, and trust yourself more than the noise that's rattling around in there. You are not alone. You're an absolute queen, and I am here for you if you need extra support. All right, friends. Bye.